Welcome back to the lecture series of function of complex variables. In the previous lecture, actually, I have given the idea about the complex curve. So, what do you mean by the complex curve? What is the smooth curve? What is the simple curve? What is the closed curve? So, all these things are going to required actually whenever we'll discuss further properties and further theorems of complex integration. So, today I am going to discuss what is the line integration. So, already you have studied the line integration in the multivariable calculus. So, similar thing will apply here while we are going to discuss the complex line integration. So what we are going to do, so actually I have told that, so complex line integration means we are going to integrate some functions of the complex variable z. That means we are going to integrate some fz. So from where, in the case of the line integration in the multivariable calculus, we have taken the independent variable along a particular real line. So here what we will do, so we'll take we'll consider the integration along the path, along the curve that is given in the z plane, because z plane is nothing but our independent variable. So actually we will consider the initial variable z, or we will consider the curve or the line with respect to, we need to find out the integration in the z plane. So corresponding to all these values, z1, z2, z3, so we are taking the segment of the curve a and from a to b. So a corresponds to the value of the parameter t1 and b corresponds to the value of parameter t2. So actually we have taken n number of points in that curve. So actually corresponding to that part of the curve, we need to integrate the function fz, that is dependent on the points which we are considering on that curve. So what is the formula actually? So we need to define some points in between the two points we have considered over the curve. So in that curve we have taken capital N number of points. So that is z0, that is z1, that is z2, that is z3. So in between z0 and z1 we are picking a point that is called a tap point. That means in between the partition of the curve we are taking actually arbitrary one point, that is xi1. Then in between z1 and z2 we are taking xi2. In between z2 and z3 we are taking xi3, and so on. So we'll take n number of points in between that capital N number of segments that we have got by taking n plus 1 number of points on that particular curve. Then what will be the sum? You know that the line integration is nothing but the limiting value of the sum. So which sum actually? So you know that whenever we are trying to find out the value of the integration, so what does it mean actually? We are trying to find out the area. So area is nothing but we are trying to find out the minimum rectangle. Say for example this is our fz. So fz will be defined in the z plane, in the w plane actually. So what we will do, corresponding to that z0 and z1 we will try to consider a rectangle. So how we can get the area of that rectangle? So area of the rectangle will be base means z0 minus z1, this gap, and the functional value it is not possible for take the functional value in between for each and every point in between z0 and z1. So what we will do in that case, so that's why we have taken the xi1. So xi1 actually is the representative in between z0 and z1. So we'll take the functional value corresponding to xi1. So that is nothing but the length. So length into breadth gives us the area of that rectangle that I can form by joining the points on that curve and joining the point corresponding functional value in that surface. That is the fz that we are getting. So there will be n such segments. So for each segment, from each segment we are taking the xi n. So in that xi n, so xi n represents the interval of zn to zn minus 1. So the breadth will be the difference between that z0 and z1. So z1 and z2 like that. So we have taken the nth segment actually. So for the nth segment, the difference is zn minus 1, and this is actually f of xi n, the corresponding functional value. So if we multiply that, and we need to add for n number of segments. So if I consider this is called as the sum of the integral. So whenever we'll take this, we'll take infinite number of points. That means we'll take more number of points over that curve. So the actually the rectangles, the sum of the area of the rectangle will be coinciding actually in the overall area that is covered by the given curve and the corresponding functional value fz. So limit n tends to infinity. So whenever n tends to infinity means we'll take infinite number of points over that curve. Then this sum is actually converted or actually defined as the integration a to b fz dz. So that is called as a line integration. So often it is denoted by integration over c fz dz, because here we are taking the limit from the lower part of the segment of that curve to the upper part of the segment of that curve. So that is defined as the line integration c fz dz. So this is actually the line integration, the actual significance of line integration, and how we can derive the line integration from or how we can associate it, the line integration, because we know the integration is nothing but the sum or area that is covered by some curves or bounded by some curve. So actually here we are considering some small rectangles. Then by adding the area of the rectangles, we are getting the overall area that we are trying to find through the line integration. So the complex line integration, the parametric form, how we can denote this? We'll discuss this. So first, whenever we are discussing the line integration, so fz dz is our required line integration I with respect to the given curve C, whose lower part is A and upper part is V. The point which is there in the lower part of the curve, a lower segment, that is A, and upper segment is V. So fz we know that u plus iv, and dz is dx plus idy, because z is x plus iy. So if I multiply this and separate the real and imaginary part, so u dx and I square, this will be I square if I multiply this and this term. So minus vxy dy plus I into the imaginary part, so vxy plus I uxy dy. So u dx minus v dy over the curve C plus I into v dx plus u dy over the curve C. If I combine both, we'll get the value of the integration. So whenever we are considering the complex line integration, we can consider as two real line integration. This is the real line integration and this is the real line integration. If we combine them, then we'll get the value of the complex line integration. So I can denote this in the parametric form. So parametric form, we are taking some t1, t2, tn. So corresponding to that values, I am getting some z1, z2, zn over the curve. So I know that instead of identifying a point z, we can identify the point in the form of the parameter t by xt, yt. So then the u is dependent on, or the dx is dependent, or x is dependent on t and y is dependent on t. So instead of dx, we can write this as dx by dt into dt. So we know that dt into dt is nothing but dx. So we can write this as u dx dt minus v dy dt into dt. So that means u dx minus v dy. So that is actually in that way we can represent the complex line integration in the form of a parameter t. So that is nothing but the xt and yt. So here C is the curve xt yt in the form of the parameter. So for example, if I want to consider the line integration along the curve, that is nothing but the circle x square plus y square equals to a square. So what I can consider here, so if I consider the parameter, I know that x will be a cos theta, y will be a sin theta, and t will be considered from, t means nothing but the angle actually. T will be considered from 0 to 2 pi. So this will not be theta, this will be 0, because the angle actually is changing from 0 to 2 pi. If I consider this, then I can traverse the overall the path, that is nothing but the circle in the complex plane. So here we are considering the path in the anti-clockwise direction, that means direction in the path is given here. So properties of complex line integration. So what is the first property? So if I add two functions, then I take the line integration over the curve C, that is nothing but if I consider the line integration of each of the functions individually and add them. Then if C1 and C2 are two parts of the curve, that means one curve is divided in two parts. One part is C1, another part is C2, and they are connected. Then C fz dz is nothing but C1 fz dz plus C2 fz dz. So k is the constant. So k into fz dz over the curve C is nothing but k into the line integration with respect to the curve C fz dz. The next property is that if the direction of the curve is given, then if I change or if I take the opposite direction of the curve, then the just value of the integration or value of the line integration will be same. The magnitude will be same, but there will be a negative sign here. Then another important property is that what is the length of the curve? How we can measure the length of the curve? So actually, if I consider a curve, so in that curve I can take a small arc. I can take small arcs over the curve. So if I join the length of the arc, then it gives us the length of the curve. So you know that in that way I can measure the length. So if the function fz is bounded, that means mod of fz is less than equals to m, then the value of the line integration, mod of the value of the line integration is nothing but less than equals to m into L, where m is the bound of the function and L is the length of the curve. So in that way I can identify what can be the maximum value of the line integration while we are considering a particular curve C and we are trying to find the line integration with respect to that curve C. So far in that lecture actually I have discussed how we can define the complex line integration and how we can define the complex line integration, or how we can break the complex line integration into parts, where each of the parts we can consider or we can evaluate as the rules we have discussed actually earlier while we have considered the line integration in the real variable. Then how we can represent the complex line integration in the form of a parametric form. Then I have discussed actually what are the different properties of the complex line integration. So in the next lecture, I'll be discussing different examples of complex line integration and how we can evaluate the complex line integration whenever a particular curve is given to us. So till then, stay tuned and thank you all for watching this lecture.